Hello and welcome back to the Week in Nintendo. I'm your host this week, Steve Bowling, and I'm joined by not only my good friend Daniel Alba, but for the first time on camera in what feels like forever, we've got Brandon. Brandon, let the people see you. How are you, my friend?
It's been 84 years. It's good to be visible. Most of the time that you hear me these days, I'm in a place where I can't be visible, but I'm here. In my house.
He's home.
He made it.
My room, it doesn't look any different. Sorry. It's the same room.
I know Daniel's been over here improving his setup. I tore down my wall and built this fancy wood wall.
That's right.
Brandon's still brandoning.
I took down some of my Fire Emblems over here because I had to use them for a recording that I did recently. With all the Fire Emblem that use Amiibo, basically, are not on there anymore.
I'm going to anger you, Daniel. I'm going to anger you. I was in Seattle and I went to Pink Gorilla and I saw Fire Emblem Fates, right? And it was like $500.
The special edition?
God.
Yeah. And
that one right there, yeah.
This is
one box.
The part that's going to anger Daniel.
Uh-huh.
I went back to my house and I was like, I do have that. And I grabbed my sealed copy of Fates that I just bought because I was bored. And I was like, neat. I just put it back on my shelf to never be played.
Oh.
I literally got that and had no idea it was worth anything. I've had it since launch. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is worth a lot of money, isn't it?
I tried to buy the special edition at launch when it came out, and I couldn't get it anywhere.
Yeah, I think I pre-ordered it from GameStop or something.
You get this nice little 3DS cover for or sleeve for your 3DS that comes with it. And now I use it to cover my microphone when I'm not using it because I don't want it to get dirty. Because I don't use my 3DS for this. It's actually, it's not a proper size for it.
It's a 3DS sock.
It is. And now it's my mic sock.
Don't make that face, Steve.
I'm gonna open mine just to put it on my mic. I'm gonna unseal a ridiculously expensive special edition just to put a sock on my mic.
God, you're gonna pay a month of rent or something if you sell that these days. Jeez.
Yeah, those are buku bucks.
Yeah, my weird quest, and I know I could find this on eBay without trying. I want to find Super Princess Peach, and I want to find it in person at a shop, and I can't do it. It's killing me.
Is the game rare?
I don't think it's rare. I just can't find it in any shop near me. Like, even as far as Seattle, I went to every Pink Gorilla. They didn't have it.
Man.
I went to a couple different, indie game shops, ones that aren't really big, and they didn't have it. I found one Japanese copy for $20. I drove the 4 hours home from Seattle only to find out it didn't work.
Oh
my God.
My heart shattered. I was so excited to find it that I just bought it instantly. And then I got all the way home, put it in my 3DS, didn't work. Put it in another one, didn't work. Put it in an original DS Lite, still didn't work. So
yeah,
buy $20.
I would have kept that in mind because I was at a convention just yesterday and I looked through some of the retro game sections. And I don't think it was there. I was looking through DS, PS1, PS2. There's never any GameCube sections ever.
Okay, I think there needs to be a mandate that there needs to be a shared document between GVG members of the games they're looking for, so that all of us can keep that in mind when we're out and about.
That there really does. There really, really does. I'll take it. I'll take it as a win if one of us finds it. But
a win.
Yeah, a week in Nintendo.
Wow, what a segue.
Yeah, it is your week in Nintendo for, let's say, May 23rd. It's May 23rd today. This week in Nintendo, we're going to be going through the launch lineup of every Nintendo console, both console and portable. So we're not gonna make delineations here since the Switch is kind of both. We're going to go through specifically the North American launch of every Nintendo console, rate them, and then mathematically determine which one is the best.
All right.
So we're going to start where it all started, with the NES or Famicom, if you're fancy. Now, in Japan, this launched with just 3 games, and it would do the NES a major injustice if we were to. But if you wanted to know, it came out with Donkey Kong, DK Jr., and Popeye. Like, you didn't even get Mario.
Wow.
with the Famicom in Japan. I think it launched like in 87. I could be wrong. I don't have that info in front of me, so that's strictly off the top. I was 5, so I don't remember.
Didn't the NES come out in 85?
Maybe it did. If it like I said, I was more concerned with like where my next meal was coming from.
Understandable. The Famicom
Probably
released in
Legos.
1983.
Famicom was 83, but NES probably was 85 then.
Yeah,
I know
that's the anniversary of Mario Brothers, Super Mario.
Yeah, there's weird lore around the NES. Like, no one actually knows for sure when it launched in the US because they did like a weird test market run in New York where it was just in a few shops. And so there's not like and for some reason Nintendo was like, this isn't going to be hot. We're not going to mark the date. So let's talk about the North American launch though. So you actually had a pretty big selection of games for the NES when it came out in the US. You had 10-Yard Fight, Baseball, Clue Clue Land, Duck Hunt, which was a pack-in. You had Excite Bike, Golf, Gyromite, where if you got the deluxe NES with Rob, you got Gyromite in the box. Hogan's Alley, Ice Climber, Kung Fu, Mach Rider, Pinball, Stack Up, the original Super Mario Brothers, again as a pack-in, like on a dual cart. So you had Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. At least that's how my NES came when I was a kid. Tennis, Wild Gunman, and Wrecking Crew. That's a pretty big list of games.
17 titles at launch is crazy to think about for back then. Yeah.
Yeah, because we kind of associate Nintendo with doing these small launches, like with having like 2 or 3 games. I think that's a reputation they kind of got in the N64 and GameCube eras and then have had trouble shaking. I'm looking at this list though, and a lot of these are like really, memorable games. Excite Bike, Duck Hunt. Like, these are things that when you think about the NES, you think about these games that were available on day one. Super Mario Brothers, obviously, changed the way we viewed video games, kind of reversed the the video game crash that Atari had started. So I'm struggling with this list. Like, it's an incredible list and it's really stacked. Like, if you went out and you were an adult in 1985 and you bought an NES, there's almost nobody who was buying all 17 of these. Even if you wanted to, you probably didn't have enough cash. So,
I mean, I would argue that what you got out of the box was already incredible.
Oh yeah, Super Mario Brothers
games.
And Duck Hunt. That's
you got
Nintendo
a gun with
would
your
not do that
console
today. That too. You got a freaking gun with your console. If you went deluxe, you got a robot.
You got a robot and a game that kind of sucks. But you got a robot.
You got a robot with it.
You got a very slow robot in a game that's very uninteresting.
Part of it was advertising it as a toy instead of like video games, and that was what was going to help alleviate the market and sell it more with that angle than with the video game angle. And that Rob was a big part of that in the initial launch in the New York launch that you were mentioning.
That's true. But the context here is that because of that crash, Nintendo was keen for people to see the NES as a toy rather than a video game. Video games were kind of synonymous with the Atari at that point. And so people were like, oh, I've already seen this. I don't want it. They were really smart. They got the people who were distributing like the hottest toy of the time, the TJ Ruxpin, which was like a little teddy bear with like a voice chip in it that could repeat stuff you said and would become nightmare fuel when his batteries were low.
The precursor to the Furby.
It kind of was. Like, he had a little glowing heart in his chest, like a little red glowing heart. You'd push him, you'd say stuff, and he could say those things back at you. But if his battery was low, he'd be like, I love you.
Daniel, clearly, can you re-raise that Rob amiibo that you were holding just a moment ago?
Rob. This is the one that helped us, that helped save the business.
Is he yellowing?
So I found this out. I found this out years ago, but I also found this out again when I was doing the amiibo video that I'm working on still. These amiibo are made with the same plastic as the consoles. So they have the same exact oxidation happening on them as those old consoles did.
kind of cool, to be honest. I don't
Was that intentional or just a big whoopsie?
No, it was like you would think this was like, oh, these been out in the sun, they've been getting all yellow, but no, they've just been in my boxes, and the yellow has become more prominent over the years. So this is a little fun fact I share in that video, a little preview here. But yeah, no, they're actually they're made from the same plastic as those consoles. It's crazy.
Oh man, now I want those.
Now you need a sequel video where you retro bright your Rob Amiibo.
Yeah, using one of we gotta refurbish them with like hold it out in the sun to let it like breathe back life again. I don't know, but yeah, no, that was a fun little discovery I found.
To throw it back to the NES though, I mean, you got to give it to Nintendo. They took the best video game they had and just put it in the box, and that's Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
I don't think any other game on the list stands up to Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm trying to think like and I want to be clear, we're rating these as launch lineups, not as like the individual quality of the games. But I would have to say that this might be starting off strong. This might be like a 10 out of 10 lineup for me because, like you said, they took the equivalent of what was like a AAA game for the time. And not only a AAA, but the best one in their arsenal, and just put it in the box for free with the console. And then on top of that, you had 16 other games to choose. Like, I don't know that it gets much better than this.
I'd say that like quality outside of like Mario, Duck Hunt, maybe Excite Bike is a little wishy-washy, but like you said, there's so many options that I think that just inherently raises the number for me. I don't know if I'd go all the way to 10, but I feel pretty comfortable at a 9.
Okay.
Yeah, I look at this because honestly, even just the pack-in Super Mario Brothers, as you mentioned, already is like the you can't get much better than that, and yet you have all these other options here available to you as well. Not always the one I think of for the highest of quality NES games, but a lot that we just remember that just are part of that legacy. Like you got Hogan's Alley, Ice Climber, Mock Rider, you've got Wrecking Crew, like ones that we just know are part of that identity. So honestly, yeah, it's like I'm flip-flopping between 9 and 10 for myself as well. It's difficult when we're starting off so strong.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. Like I could see it going either way, but we are going to need a number from you because we're going to do average scores to determine which one is the best.
Is for me? Oh my god. Well,
I'm going to keep your feet to the fire.
You have to commit.
There's so much. I'm going to go with my thoughts with Brandon. I'm going to say it's a 9. It's definitely up there. It's definitely up there.
A 10, a 9, and a 9. That is what, 28? 28 divided by
Oh, we're doing math for this.
That's going to roughly be a 9. We're going to end up at a 9. We're not going to get too far. It's like a 9 point something, but we'll say 9.
Calculator out.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now, just so we get a hard number. 9.3.
9.3. You know what? Okay, let's do it. We'll stick with the decimal point. So that is 9.3 because it could make all the difference.
And if we wanted to add one more element to this that I think might be interesting, I think best game in the lineup, Super Mario Brothers. I think worst game in the lineup might be Gyromite or Stack Up.
100%.
Poor Rob.
I do not love Ice Climber, but I feel like the frustration with how slow Rob is and the general just overall, like it's a game about having a toy robot pick stuff up. I think technologically for the time it was cool. In 2026, I would just be frustrated playing it. So I would say Gyromite's my least favorite on that list. Super Mario Brothers easily the best one on the list.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would go to.
Rob is like buying moon shoes as a kid and realizing that you don't jump that high.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we went from the NES solid 9.3 showing. I think that's a great way to start. One of the most iconic consoles of all time. Next, we're going to go to one of the most iconic handhelds of all time, because the next thing Nintendo launched after the NES was, of course, the Game Boy. And the Game Boy apparently had the same launch lineup across regions. So it was just the same stuff. At least the page I'm looking at doesn't delineate. But the launch lineup we have for the Game Boy is Alleyway, Baseball, Super Mario Land, Tennis, Tetris, which was a pack-in, and then a game called Yakuman, which, to be fair, I don't know that.
It's a Riichi Mahjong game, I think.
I've
it's
never
Mahjong.
heard of it.
I don't know.
But yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
And that is North American box art. And it was developed by Nintendo. Okay. That's one that I've never heard of.
Interesting.
It's an R&D 1 game.
Yeah. That seems very interesting to me, but you know what? I'm going to call BS on that one. That is a Japan exclusive game. It says North American in the article I'm looking at, but I'm looking at the launch dates and it came out only ever in Japan.
Oh,
so.
no, it released as a Nintendo Power video game years later.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So that's, I don't think that's fair. It did not come out with the Game Boy. That is not worth consideration, but cool bit of trivia nonetheless. So Alleyway Baseball, Super Mario Land, Tennis, and Tetris, which was packed in. I cannot overstate just how crazy Tetris was on the Game Boy at launch. I mean, this was kind of the Wii Sports of the 80s. Like a lot of people who didn't play video games played Tetris. There's a reason it's like I think it might even be the best selling video game of all time. If not, it's in the top 3 or 5.
It's up there. Yeah.
I think
it's
that
way
goes
up
to
there.
GTA.
Yeah, GTA might be the very best. I thought it was Minecraft or something. Anyway, that's a topic for another video. But
Oh no, you're right. It is Tetris.
okay, thank you.
520 million sales.
I know my stuff. No Wikipedia here, just old man knowledge. But anyway, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this to me is not a very solid launch lineup. Like when I think of the Game Boy, I definitely think of Tetris, and Super Mario Land is in there, but these other 3 games, Alleyway, Baseball, Tennis, these don't enter my mind at all.
Most
I like
generic
Alleyway.
names.
Like Alleyway is, it's a Breakout clone, but like Breakout is already amazing. So I just give it points for being a copy of something I like. Baseball and tennis, I've never played them. I don't care.
Yeah.
But they are like Game Boy equivalents to NES games at the same time. So like this is back when that was cool, right? Like, oh, you can take it on the go. So like there's still value there. Super Mario Land, I don't even like, personally speaking. I don't really care for that game. But it is a Mario game at launch, and I think that is worth something just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's something cool here in that, frankly, Nintendo continued to give out the best game in the launch lineup as a pack-in with the console. I love that they used to do that. I think that there's, like you said, Super Mario Land, not the strongest Mario game, but it is cool that, you're picking up a new console and you have the option of a Mario game. That's something that's always really nice to have. For me, Alleyway, Baseball, and Tennis just really aren't in the conversation. They're not games that I care much for. Breakout is cool. Breakout, a clone of Breakout is neat, but as someone who was around, like my cousin got a Game Boy and he had Alleyway, and I just didn't care. Like I wanted to see Mario and I wanted to see Tetris, and then I played them for a little bit and I was like, this is cool. My mom will never buy me this.
Yeah, Tetris is really carrying this one here. I think Super Mario Land is okay, but it's not like the best Mario game that you think of when you think of the most iconic Mario titles. Even if it's one of the launch titles for the Game Boy, it's just not one I really keep in the surface of my head.
But it does have that shelf power, like being a kid, and you're like, you see Mario in a Game Boy box, and like that's gonna do a lot.
Yeah, not to mention there was that magical, like, oh my gosh, this is Mario, but I can take it with me. This was the first time you could really do that, not counting like little Game & Watch games, right? Mm-hmm. This was like the first time you got a proper Mario platformer on the go with you. So that is kind of cool, but I got to say the selection here is really anemic, just 5 games, and really only, in my opinion, one of them is worth having, because when you dig into Super Mario Land, I think it's okay. I think it's an okay game, but it definitely feels, in my opinion, far worse than, console Mario at that point. So I would give this one honestly probably like a 6, like a 6 out of 10. I was originally going to say 7, but I think Super Mario Land isn't as fun. Like it's in the bottom tier for Mario games in my opinion.
The number that came to my mind, and maybe this is too harsh, was a 4.
Ooh, okay.
Oh man, I was thinking 5 myself, like right in the middle there, because
right.
yeah, it really is just Tetris carrying for this one. But
yeah,
I mean, it's an iconic title, so it's hard to knock it much further down.
Well, that puts us right at a 5.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6, 15. That's a 5. So we've got a 9.3 for the NES and a 5 for the Game Boy. Sorry, Game Boy. Dear. Let's keep it pushing. We've got Super Nintendo next, and this is a similarly anemic lineup. Like it's only 5 games again in North America. So real quick, in Japan, the Super Famicom, as it was known there, launched with just 2 games, F-Zero and Super Mario World. In Europe, it launched with just Super Tennis, which feels like it can't be right, but that's what it says. In North America, we got the following. We got F-Zero, Pilot Wings, Gradius 3, SimCity, and Super Mario World as the pack-in. And that is nuts. That's like amazing pack-in.
You're talking one of my favorite games of all time. Like easy top 3 branded miracle video game right there.
Yeah, I have to say, as a kid, I wasn't aware, like I didn't follow the launches of consoles like I do these days. But what I do remember is getting a Super Nintendo much, much later, like years after it launched. It's such a weird thing, and this is a weirdly personal thing to bring up in a discourse about video game launches, but I remember my mom, she had separated from my father, and she started dating my stepdad, right? And he was like trying to win us over, right? And he just rocked up to my father's house with like a brand new Super Nintendo in the box for me, just for me, as like a gift. And he's like, "Hey, I heard you like video games. Here's a friggin' Super Nintendo with Populous." And I remember being the little ingrate that I was at like 10 years old or whatever, being like, "What is this game? This is not Super Mario World."
Oh no.
But thank you, Dad. I really appreciate the thought. It was very nice of you, even though I definitely didn't show it at 10 years old. Super Mario World is just an amazing game. Like this is Nintendo just giving you peak, like with the console. I don't know that they could have, like even looking past the launch lineup into the history of Super Nintendo games, I don't know that you could have delivered a better pack-in.
Yeah, Nintendo was like 3 for 3 and packing in very iconic staples of video game history with their consoles and their in their launch lineups. Super Mario World was the first Nintendo game I ever played way back then. My grandpa had a Super Nintendo in his room for some reason. I don't know why it was in his room. I didn't question it. There was like 4 games, and one of them was Super Mario World that I always went back to the most because that was what I was drawn to. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I have held as one of my favorite games ever from way back then. There's other games on here too, of course. I will stand by F-Zero being a good game. The FX chip really blew my mind as far as seeing what they could do with graphics. It was a showcase for what the Super Nintendo was capable of as well. And
I'm pretty sure F-Zero was just Mode 7 though. I mean the FX chip was Star Fox.
Mode 7. I get the terms confused, but no, it was using that and seeing like what you could do with the stretching and just the manipulation of pixels made it look so cool in like a pseudo 3D environments on a Super Nintendo way back then.
That also applies to Pilot Wings too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Pilot Wings was a heavy Mode 7 game. Like, honestly, this lineup is very technically impressive for the time. Like, Super Mario World used Mode 7 a little bit, but F-Zero and Pilot Wings really showed off what that could do. Gradius 3, a very competent shooter. SimCity, like, I remember playing that not so much on Super Nintendo, but a lot on PC as a kid. Just a really cool lineup of games here. Like, not the biggest lineup, but pretty much everything in it is very high quality.
Yeah, like you only have 5 games, but these are games. Games with a capital G.
They've got substance to them.
Yeah, Nintendo really smashed this one.
If we were just going off of the Japan launch lineup, I probably would have given it high marks, just because those 2 games are so good. But now, like, you have a little bit more options here, and if you're like examining the breadth of genres, you have a racing game, you have like a flight simulator, you have a shmup, you have a city builder, and you have a platformer. Like, none of these games are eating each other's lunch.
Yeah, and one of them's free with the console.
Yeah.
So I would say that, if, again, I was not of age to go out and buy this console myself, but if I was, I feel like I wouldn't be strapped for options. Like, there's enough that if you save up, like if you really saved your pennies, you could get the whole launch lineup, and you'd be eating good for quite a while off of these. I'm inclined to give this, like, I'm going to do this. I didn't think I was going to do half numbers, but I would give this like a 7.5, just because it's a little low in number of games, but they're all really high quality. So I'm struggling. Like, I don't quite want to give it an 8, because I feel like there will be other launch lineups that might be more deserving of an 8 later on. But yeah, I think a 7.5. I'm comfortable with that. It's hard because I think 2 of the games are 10s.
I think those 2 games being 10s does push it to an 8 for me. Super Mario World, if it had released by itself, I probably would have said an 8. I just love that game so much. I think I'm pretty comfortable with an 8.
Yeah, I wanted to give the launch lineup a 9 myself. So
oh wow,
that's important to me.
There's no arguing with it. It's not like I can tell you you're wrong for it. I think I'm just trying to stay a bit conservative, because I know, like, one of my favorite launch lineups is further down the list. But okay, so a 7.5, an 8, and a 9. That's what, 24 and a half.
We're rounding up to 8.2 on that
8.2. All right, perfect. So we've got, again, to recap, NES 9.3, Game Boy 5, Super NES 8.2. That's all right. It's pretty good so far. I have a feeling this next one's not going to go so smooth. This is the Virtual Boy. And I will fully admit, I missed the boat on this. I mean, again, I was a kid.
Wow, that's a big surprise to you.
I'm not buying you a big red headset. And I played it once as a child. I played the Virtual Boy weirdly enough, my mom was getting her hair done at some lady's house, and I did not want to go. And as soon as we get there, she just had a Virtual Boy sitting on the table in her kitchen. And so I asked the lady doing my mom's hair, I'm like, hey, could I please try the Virtual Boy? And she's like, I don't care, go for it. And I stick my head in there and I turn it on. I played for like 5 minutes. I was like, nope. I turned it off, and my mom was shocked. She's like, you don't like it? And I was like, I don't like it. And the lady said, she's like, yeah, it gives my son headaches. He doesn't like it much either. And so I was like, oh, never played it. And then weirdly enough, bought one like this year. I just, because I couldn't remember anything about how the games played, and I wanted to compare, and got it. And I like it more now than I did as a child. But it's still not a very good machine. That said, launch lineup again, no real region, but it basically came out in Japan and the US, never came out in Europe, apparently.
Sorry, Europe.
We got Galactic Pinball, Mario's Tennis as the pack-in, Red Alarm, and Telero Boxer, however you say that. I actually own all these games now. I have them on the original hardware. They're okay. Like, I think Telero Boxer is the most interesting one of the bunch for me. but I don't really derive any enjoyment from playing them. Like none of them are really all that good, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you take the 3D out of the equation, these games are just not that interesting. I would argue a game like Tellero Boxer, which I agree is probably the most interesting game in the set, you don't even need 3D to play that game. It plays just fine in 2D.
Yeah. It's not even really a good showcase for the system because the game is arguably more playable if you took it out of the headset. To be fair, you could say that about just about any game. I think Mario Tennis gives the best impression of depth.
Yeah.
Or the easiest one to track is what I should say. It's easy to see where the ball is going. I found Red Alarm to be nigh on unplayable. And Galactic Pinball is just friggin' pinball.
I like pinball. I don't need it in 3D.
I don't need 3D pinball. I don't need it. I could just play it in 3D by playing a real life pinball machine. But I think this launch lineup is I'm just gonna say it's straight up dookie. Like it's bad. I don't think it's good. Yeah. I would give this, no joke, a 2. It's a small amount of games that aren't very good.
Yeah, I've played these, but I don't really feel anything from this launch line. There's some the Tellero Boxer is interesting enough for what it does, but it's not really something I would go back to actively. I get
it's like a hard Punch Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably give it like about a 3 or so for this list, honestly.
The first number that came to mind for me was also a 2. I'll put it this way, like Mario's Tennis did not launch on NSO with the Virtual Boy, and when it did launch, I didn't try it.
That is, I bought the plastic Virtual Boy headset and I used it precisely one time. I am still amazed that Nintendo decided that they were going to launch Virtual Boy NSO and that they dedicated R&D to making it. I applaud them for it. It's a cool idea. I don't know.
For preservation's sake, I'm glad they did it. Yeah. Like they made these games accessible, kind of, question mark.
They could have done it for 3DS and they said, no, we're going to make the whole console now.
Oh, dude, I would love it if they did 3DS NSO. That's a whole other thing that I desperately want.
No, he's saying Virtual Boy on 3DS.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you mean. That also would have been better.
Where it would have made so much sense.
Or they could have just given us 2D Virtual Boy to at least play the games. There's so many things that they could have done.
Well, we average out those scores to a high scoring 2.3.
Oh baby! Wow.
All right then. I'm interested to see how this next one does. But just to recap, we're NES 9.3, SNES. What was it? No, it was
SNES
or Game Boy. Game Boy was a 5, a solid 5. SNES was
8.2. 8.3.
Yeah, 8.2. You're right. I need to write these down.
Yeah.
Let's fix that before we forget. So we have coming in first place right now, NES with a 9.3.
Good job, NES.
Yeah. Honestly, I did not expect that as we went in. Game Boy with a solid 5. We have the Super NES with an 8.2. And now we have the Virtual Boy with, what was the Virtual Boy sitting at?
A 2.3.
2.3. I'll be curious to see if anything does worse than the Virtual Boy. Historically, Nintendo's worst console. So, all right. Moving on, we have one of my favorite Nintendo consoles of all time, the N64. Like this was, for me, the N64 launched at that perfect, middle teenage era where I had lots of time, a little bit of autonomy, and no responsibility. So I could play a lot of video games during this era. And I think that's why I'm as fond of the N64 as I am, because I spent a lot of my teenage years playing it. That said, this is another one where the launch lineup is super anemic, but I mean, it's also excellent. So let's talk about it real quick before we get to North America, which is where we're all from. So that's what we'll judge. Japan got Super Mario 64, Pilot Wings 64, and Saikyo Habu Shogi. Interestingly enough, in my case, that's the launch lineup I had because I imported my N64. In Europe, they got a crazy, better launch lineup. They had FIFA Soccer, Pilot Wings, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, Super Mario, Turok, and Wayne Gretzky Hockey. But in North America, we had it the worst. We only got Mario and Pilot Wings. So, I mean, 2 games, not a ton of choice here, but also 2 incredible games. Like Super Mario 64 is it's my Super Mario World. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't think there's any way to oversell what it was like to see Mario in 3D for the first time. Like when I hooked that game up and turned it on, I just remember being my gasps were flabbered. Like I could not I could not understand how we went from Super Mario World to what I had on my screen. Like easily the biggest leap for me in console history, just going from 2D to 3D.
I always see people talk about Mario 64 and like, it doesn't hold up really well. And I'm like, are you kidding? Mario 64 is one of the best controlling games I've ever played to this day. Like the way Mario feels is wholly unique, but like, he's physics based. His momentum, it makes sense. When you get good at it, you get really good at it. And jumping around as Mario in Mario 64 is still probably the best feeling Mario game, in my opinion. Like in Odyssey, you have so many options, but there's the weight to Mario in 64 that is unmatched for me.
Absolutely. I mean, Mario 64 for me, I have muscle memory from like 30 years ago still with that game. And it's one of those where they just nailed every single thing about his movement, because that was kind of the gimmick of that Mario game. Like these days we have, it's not enough to have Mario moving in 3D and have that be the interesting feature of the game. You have to have something else like FLUDD or Cappy or whatever to add a layer of intrigue to a Mario game. But back then, the conceit was that, hey, he can run in any direction, not just left and right. He can do backflips and somersaults and dives and ground pounds. All of those things that we take for granted in a Mario game were brand new here. And Nintendo absolutely nailed it the very first time out. And when you think about that, in these days, we make a lot of excuses for developers, like, this is a new thing they're doing. Nintendo didn't get any of that because they just got it right on the very first try. And it to me, I agree with you, Brandon, is one of the most satisfying Mario games to control. Like if there was a score higher than a 10, I would give it to 64, because not only is it, for its era, I want to be real clear, for its era, a perfect game, but it also is so incredibly influential to the entire genre that there are games being built 3 decades later that still borrow from this.
Yeah, I want to call out people who say that games or it's consoles like the Switch 2 don't launch with games. You would go crazy back in the day with only 2 titles. The impatience of people astounds me, because like we didn't have many options back then. We had either that or Pilot Wings, and it's like, yeah, Mario 64 is such an iconic title for what it is in the era, for what it accomplished and what it inspired so many other games going forward would do. Mario has a really cool like weight to him. The weight of Mario when you're jumping around doing like side jumps and just moving everywhere around the world, this doesn't feel the same as in any other Mario game that's come after. I don't know what it is. There's like a certain physics to him that just feels right in Mario 64 that I wish more games would capture with any 3D platformer, honestly.
There's a level of commitment when you jump.
Yeah.
Like you've jumped and now you deal with what happens.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wasn't going to talk about this in this episode, but I've recently been playing Bubsy 4D. And that is a game where the opposite is true, where no matter what jump you take, it's probably going to be safe because he feels mostly weightless throughout, and it's deeply dissatisfying because you never feel like you achieved anything when you land a jump, you know. Whereas with Mario 64, there was always this sense of like, oh my God, did you see what I just pulled off? You know, I was able to long jump over to this thing and then backflip onto the next thing. And I think subsequent Mario games have made that a lot easier while still remaining challenging. I'm not throwing shade at Odyssey or anything like that, but in Mario 64, there was definitely a sense of accomplishment when you pulled off like a tricky jump that isn't quite there in later titles.
I mean, you look at every 3D Mario that's followed, and Mario has some kind of recovery ability. Like in Sunshine, he has Flood, so he can float. In Galaxy, he has the spins, so he can kind of, you know, correct a jump after he's jumped. In Odyssey, you throw Cappy and you dive at him. In Mario, you jump and you deal with what happens afterwards.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
Like it's a great game, but we aren't necessarily here. And also Pilot Wings is just fantastic. But I mean, it definitely sits in the shadow of Mario 64.
It does.
The problem is here though, we're not rating Mario 64, right? We're rating the N64 launch lineup, and it is just 2 games, and they can be 2 of the most awesome games in the world, but realistically it was very slim pickings, and I don't know how I rate this because it's as games they're excellent, but as a launch lineup it's not super great.
It's also worth noting that Mario 64 was not a pack-in.
Yes, that is also true. You didn't get Mario 64 for free. Nintendo knew what they had on their hands, and they're like, not today. You're going to buy this. This was their first console where they just didn't give you a game to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like, what if I don't want to play Super Mario 64? My only other option is this flight simulator on the N64. So you don't really have the kind of options of other games. Like, of course, Mario 64 is an excellent title, but not everybody out there would probably be interested in playing that at the time. Like,
yeah, your breadth of options in genre is very slim because there's only 2 games. It's also worth noting that this lineup, in a weird way, emulates the Super Nintendo launch. You have the next core Mario game and Pilot Wings.
Yeah, that's very true, and just absolutely zero third-party representation. Like nobody was on board with this at launch anyway. And
that is emblematic of the entire console generation.
Yes.
If I were to throw a number at it, I think it can't be higher than a 5. I love Mario 64 especially, but like 2 games, that's rough. And a multiplayer console, and one of the games is single player.
They should have added Luigi. Should have added Luigi.
I think because Mario 64 is such a formative game for me, I'm going to go with a 6 here. Like, it's what my gut is telling me. I have no other reason. It's because I think when I got my N64, I played Mario 64 for probably like 3 months. Mm-hmm. And I did not tire of it. Like I just obsessively played it. And so, I mean, for me, it was, I'm saying it's not like a great launch lineup, but it is 2 great games. And so I feel like they were enough for me to eat for a while. The N64 generation was a generation of starvation for sure, but at least for those first couple months with the console, like Mario 64 carried me through. And when I didn't want to play it, I would pop Pilot Wings in. This was the first time I got quote unquote every game that came with a console, but it feels like a Pyrrhic victory because
look at I got the whole launch lineup and you're just holding 2 cards.
One in each hand.
I got 1 game for each hand, baby.
Oh.
And no friends to play with because I couldn't afford a second controller.
I was thinking a 6 as well for this because there's only 2 titles. You only got one or the other, literally one or the other. But Mario 64 does carry this console so much, so it can't go that much lower.
That puts us at a hot 5.7.
Ooh, 5.7. It's honestly pretty high considering there's 2 games.
I'm a little worried doing the rest of this list because we talked for a long time about 2 games, and I don't know how much longer we're going to be here talking about the rest of these lists.
That's true. Fortunately, I don't think that there is almost any game. I can only think of one other, and I won't spoil what I think it is, that is as influential as Mario 64.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the next list is probably not going to merit a whole lot of discussion. But to recap, NES 9.3, Game Boy at 5, Super NES at 8.2, Virtual Boy at 2.3, and the N64 at a respectable-ish 5.7. The next console that Nintendo launched, and my brain just refuses to acknowledge this, is the Game Boy Color. For some reason in my brain, Game Boy Color and N64 are like homogenous with each other, like at the same time. But basically in the US, we got Centipede, Game & Watch Gallery 2, Pocket Bomberman, and Tetris DX. And I remember the Game Boy Color coming out and just not caring at all.
Yeah, this sucks. Sorry, this sucks.
This was a console you didn't have to buy until Pokemon Gold and Silver came out.
Yeah, I don't remember anything. I don't associate anything with this little thing except Pokemon. I have yellow in it right now, for crying out loud. But yeah, the launch lineup for this is not feeling.
I only have nostalgia for my Game Boy Color because it was my Game Boy. I didn't get a Game Boy until the Game Boy Color came out. And I got it with Pokemon Yellow. So like, that's the way I view it. But this launch, there's nothing in this launch lineup I want to play.
Yeah. I mean, I was still very much of the age where I would ask my mom for things. Like I saved up my own money to get my N64. Game Boy Color, I did not own a Game Boy. My cousin had a Game Boy. I did not feel like getting a Game Boy Color either until, I think, no, you know what? It was a Pokemon Yellow edition Game Boy Color. Like it had Pikachu on it and everything. I think my mom found them on sale because she got one for myself, my brother, and my sister all at the same time, all with Pokemon Yellow. And I eventually got Pokemon Silver to play on it. But this launch lineup, I mean, Bomberman's cool enough, but these are literally games I've never played.
You don't want to play Tetris DX, the best game ever, but now deluxe?
I wasn't enticed by how deluxe Tetris was.
I know people have nostalgia for Game & Watch Gallery, and like it is cool, like their Mario makeovers of Game & Watch games. There's 5 games in Game & Watch Gallery too.
And they're Game & Watch games.
They're Game & Watch
games. You play them for like 5 minutes and you've seen everything there is to see.
Yeah,
you're so good that your high score is never going to end, so you get bored and you just turn it off.
I remember endlessly seeing copies of Centipede for Game Boy Color in bargain bins, like clearance bins, everywhere I went for years, for like a really long time. This came out when I was 15-ish. By the time I was like 19 and had a job working in retail, I was still trying to sell people copies of Centipede for the Game Boy Color for like $1.
Oh man,
I got to give this launch lineup. These are more playable than the Virtual Boy, but I don't think they're necessarily much better. One of them is Tetris, and it's like proper Tetris, which is a good game. So I'm going to go with a 4.
I'm sitting at a big old hot 3.
Yeah, so in 4. Yeah, I'll have between 3 and 4. But then if I said 3, I'd be rating it the same as Virtual Boy. So I'm saying 4 for this one.
That puts us at. Hang on, I'm struggling to do math.
Math harder.
3.7.
3.7. Yep.
All right, 3.7. Game Boy Color sitting at a 3.7. I'm going to stop doing recaps at this point so we can just
let's do it for the end.
Give a big recap.
Yeah, and don't read the Japanese list for this next one because Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
don't.
Game Boy Advance is the next Nintendo console, and the Japanese list.
You can read the Europe one though. That's funny.
Absolutely insane. Yeah, in Europe they just got Total Soccer Manager, like just one game. That's messed up. In North America, we did get a pretty decent selection. Not a huge amount of games compared to Japan, which is nuts. You guys can go look up the list of Japan on your own time. It's deep. But in America, we got Army Men Advance, Earthworm Jim, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, Iridion 3D, Namco Museum, Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure, Rayman Advance, Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2, Super Mario Advance, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I was a little broke boy when this came out. I was struggling at my little retail job, not making a ton of money. So I literally just got the Game Boy Advance and Super Mario Advance. Now, like most things that I was doing at this point, I was importing. So I did get a Japanese game that isn't a launch title, a Japanese launch title that didn't come to America. A couple of them actually. And I love the Game Boy Advance. Like it was the console that sold me on portables. I had the Game Boy Color before. I had an Atari Lynx before that.
Ew.
Yeah, my mom saw them and she's like, "These are cheaper than Game Boys," and got them for us. And they broke
They're
almost
cheaper,
instantly. All right. They sure are. This is an okay lineup, but I think that the Game Boy Advance was kind of had a bit of a slop problem. Like there were a lot of just ports that weren't super good, or like even original games that just didn't feel good. At this point, I had a Dreamcast. I was playing a lot of games on that, and we still had that problem of games that came to portables being inherently inferior versions of what was on console. If you were doing like Super Nintendo games, they were cool here, but if you were trying to port modern games, it was not fun.
The GBA is a difficult one for me because you look at, if we're specifically like looking at the first party offerings here, Super Mario Advance is just an enhanced Mario 2, the All-Stars version, which cool.
Yeah.
Like it's cool you can play it portably. Like I don't want to undersell that. But then F-Zero Maximum Velocity, it's an F-Zero game that's really not that much more ambitious than the Super Nintendo game. When I think of Game Boy F-Zero games, this is like the worst one of the three.
I played that a lot back then. No, the F-Zero and Mario Advance were the ones that I played a lot of. And Mario Advance especially, I played a lot and I didn't understand what was going on because I was throwing vegetables at people and I was like, what is happening? What? I didn't register at the time that this was the port from the NES. And I don't know, they did such a big push for this back then. I remember there was a completely separate issue of Nintendo Power Magazine, which is Nintendo Power Advance, that they did for this, specifically talking about the Game Boy Advance. And that was a big part of me like getting into it and getting really interested in everything it had to offer. But no, most of these games I don't have any feelings for. Namco Museum, I played that on the N64 already. There was a Namco Museum for N64, and it is miserable to play some of these games when they're meant to be in an arcade like aspect ratio, and they're just smooshed down into a tiny little GBA, and it just didn't feel right for someone like Galaga. Was like, I can't play Galaga on that thing, it's too hard.
There's like a good variety here, but a lot of these games aren't original, right? Like F-Zero is technically original, but it's so close to the Super Nintendo game that I don't know that I would say it is.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. There's a lot of cut down ports here. Like nobody wanted to play Tony Hawk or Ready to Rumble on the Game Boy Advance. Rayman, I'm sure, was fine. I mean, nobody was clamoring for a new Pitfall. A lot of these felt like little cash grabs. At least on the US. The Japan had a seriously awesome slate. In the US, we kind of got also rans. And like you said, I remember picking up Super Mario Advance because I love Super Mario Brothers 2. I thought this would be really cool, and I don't think I even finished it. I was just like, nah, kind of neat,
I've played this game before, right?
Yeah, exactly. It didn't feel meaningfully different. I thought it was cool that we had like Martin A voice clips in that. I was like, oh, he's talking.
I mean, I grew up with Super Mario All-Stars. Like, I still had access to that, so like I was not chomping at the bit to buy a game I could already play.
Which is another repackaged collection of games put together.
True, but at least like it was with brand new art.
Yeah.
The Game Boy version is just using what they did for that.
And it's like
Yeah.
kind of desaturated. The colors weren't right. That was
Yeah.
true for a lot of the ports on there. Like I know we're talking about the actual launch lineup, but GBA became much of a port machine because there was like the actual line of NES classics that came out for GBA as well. And it kind of started with doing like it kind of started out because it was a port machine in the beginning for some of these like Mario Advance.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think that it's interesting to see, obviously Nintendo was also head down working on the GameCube at this point because they launched the GBA and the GameCube very close to one another.
Yeah.
And I think that you could tell that Nintendo's efforts were mostly spent on the GameCube. They had the GBA because they knew they needed a proper successor to the Game Boy. And, while it did come into its own over time, I think at launch it's just kind of, it's an okay showing. I would probably give this, I'd say like a 6 because Nintendo's own games are kind of not their best efforts. And then the rest of it is a lot of ports and stuff that I personally find deeply uninteresting.
Yeah, 6 is exactly what I had in mind.
I think we're going to give it a straight 6 for this one.
Our first unanimous one. Everybody agrees the GBA launch lineup in North America, for those of you not from here, is a 6. If you're in Japan, it's probably like an 8. But
Mrs. Puff says, "You got 6." SpongeBob starts going,
this
six.
is an interesting one for me. Because our next piece of hardware is the GameCube, and I again imported this one. I bought mine from Japan, so I had a whopping 3 games to choose from. And in North America, we had it way better. We had a much better launch lineup. The GameCube released, I think, a few months later in the US than it did in Japan. In Japan, it released in September of 2001, which was unfortunate timing. In America, I think it released in November or December of that same year. But that 3 months bought us some time and gave us some pretty good games in the launch lineup. So in the US, the GameCube released alongside All-Star Baseball 2002, Batman Vengeance, Crazy Taxi, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2, Luigi's Mansion, Madden NFL 02, NFL Hits 02, Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2, say that 3 times fast, Super Monkey Ball, Tarzan Untamed, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, and Wave Race. And for those of you wondering, the 3 Japanese games were Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race, and Monkey Ball. So you got quite a few third-party additions here, and they cover a good number of genres. But for me, the marquee title that wasn't from the Japanese launch lineup was Star Wars. Star Wars was viewed as like a visual showcase, like across, and it's easy to forget. The GameCube was competing for with PlayStation and Xbox on specs. This wasn't Nintendo, like modern Nintendo, where they were doing their own thing. They were trying to have the best looking games, and Star Wars definitely showed the potential.
This launch lineup, I think, is pretty good just in general. It's got a nice spread of games, a lot of sports titles right there on day one, which is good. Crazy Taxi, was killer. Luigi's Mansion, I love that game. Wasn't what people were expecting, so the response was a little off. Super Monkey Ball, incredible. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would also throw Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 as a big one there, because Pro Skater was like huge back then.
Yeah.
So having Pro Skater 3 on launch day was incredible for GameCube. The unfortunate thing is you look at this list and you're like, didn't Melee come out like a week later?
No,
Yes.
it's so hard for me to look at this list and not tie Super Smash Brothers Melee to it, because I remember for Christmas I got my GameCube for Christmas, so it was just like a month after the thing launched, and I had it with Luigi's Mansion and Melee, and I always forget Melee wasn't a launch title because I got it so close to the game's launch, but it came like right after, so it doesn't actually count as a launch title. which could have elevated this list even further for me. But I'm a big fan of the GameCube, and Brandon pretty much said everything I could possibly say about the certain titles on there. Like Luigi's Mansion had mixed reception, Monkey Ball is amazing, and all the other ones here too that we have similar experiences with.
Didn't Pikmin also come out like very close to launch?
It was a bit later. Yeah, Luigi's Mansion had like the little preview trailer inside it because it was going to come out soon. And Melee also had a trophy that said future release, or no, I think you had data for Pikmin, and then it would release after.
Yep.
But
right.
But it wasn't much long after. It was pretty soon after launch.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many, two really good games that are close to launch. But what I will say is that when you look at all these titles, right, like this is kind of a really great lineup because you've got a lot of genres. Like Brandon said, a lot of sports games. Madden, which was also huge back then. I mean, it's huge now, but it was also, very popular then. But Tony Hawk, again, one of the most popular games of the era. You have like, the Batman and the Tarzan licensed games. Those are all right. I think this is a really good lineup. I would probably give this, gosh, if Melee was in here, it'd probably be a 10.
Yeah,
that'd be my 10.
I would give this a 9, even without, just because there's a lot of variety here, a good number of games, more than any one person would realistically buy. Like you could buy as many games as you want and probably still not get the whole lineup. I think if you got a GameCube on day one, even excluding the fact that Melee was around the corner, you had plenty to play, way more than a week would cover. And it's one of Nintendo's least anemic launch lineups. So I'd say while there isn't like that one iconic genre defining game, there's so much variety here that you would struggle not to be able to recommend a game to someone who was looking to pick up a GameCube.
Yeah, I think it's so tough. I'm like right there on a 10. I think I might just give it a 10 anyway.
Fair. I mean, honestly, for me, it's lacking that one really big time. Like if this was the N64 and it had Mario 64 on top of all this, it'd be an easy 10. Yeah. I think that's what it's missing. Like if Melee had come out with it, it would have been a 10 for me.
Yeah. That I was going to say is 6 out of 9 for me as well, because it's just barely short to have that 10, but it's still really good. I mean, it's one of the best launch lineups ever for Nintendo.
That sticks us at a 9.3.
9.3, tying the original NES, which is impressive considering, like I said, it doesn't have that kind of defining title. I think Luigi's Mansion is fantastic. It's one of my favorite games, but I feel like there just isn't that one definitional game to it. So
yeah,
it's so funny. Like the game that defined the console came out a week later. Like right? That's how big Melee is,
basically.
Right?
Yeah, it very nearly got a perfect score.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, moving on. I feel like we're going to have different feelings about this one. The next Nintendo hardware that was launched was the Nintendo DS, and I remember being crazy excited for this. This was like just the techie side of my brain was so excited to have a touch screen portable console.
With 3D graphics.
No, this is with 3D. With 3D graphics, not a 3D screen. I'm getting ahead of myself. 3D graphics. So we had the following games, and I actually bought every single one of these.
Oh my god!
So we had Asphalt Urban GT, Feel the Magic XYXX, or Project Rub. If you were in another, I think in the UK they called it Project Rub.
In Nintendo Power, they called it the Rub Rabbits. It's had many names.
They did. We had Madden NFL 05, Metroid Prime Hunter's First Hunt, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario 64 DS, and The Herbs, Sims in the City. I could have sworn Ping Pals was also a launch title. Maybe it was. Maybe it came out a little bit later. In Europe it was. I could have sworn it was in the US too. But either way, that's the list we've got. We're using a wiki for this. And I don't think Ping Pals is going to make a measurable difference. So, I mean, there's decent variety here, right? You've got a racing game, an incredibly quirky, almost WarioWare-like game. You've got a port of Madden. You've got, Metroid Prime Hunters, which was crazy to see on the original DS. Spider-Man 2, which was...
It's just a demo.
Oh, yeah. Metroid Prime Hunters First Hunt. But, it had multiplayer in the demo and everything. Like, it was kind of... It was an interesting package. Spider-Man 2, which was just dog water. Super Mario 64 DS, which is incredibly divisive. And then you had the Herbs, which... I don't know, man. I literally bought these because I was like, I want every game. And I tried most of them. I was like, I don't
The
like
Herbs
these.
was on GameCube and GBA as well.
It was, yeah. I actually saw, when I was in Seattle the other day, I saw a copy of the Herbs for GameCube, and I almost picked it up just because I was like, weird retro trash.
This one's difficult for me. Like, I feel like there's still like a decent spread of games here in terms of, genre. But I feel like quality takes a bit of a nosedive compared to GameCube.
I agree 100%. Those are my thoughts exactly.
And there's, I may prefer Mario 64 to 64 DS, but those mini games were great showcases for the DS touchscreen and are still fun. Like, I still like to go and play them because they're that good. I just wish Nintendo maybe had a little bit more going on here at launch. Prime Hunter, I played First Hunt a whole lot because, it came with the console and I didn't really have anything else to play at the time. But I don't know. It's a demo for a game that I don't think is very good.
Yeah, I look at this lineup and I'm like, the only one, and this sounds nuts, that I really love in this whole list is Field of Magic. I thought that was just such an insane game that it tickled me. I loved it. Everything else was largely forgettable. Prime Hunter's First Hunt I thought was cool just because I was like, wow, the GameCube game, but on a portable. It wasn't very good, but I thought it was technically impressive. 64 DS was kind of the similar thing. Like, wow, I've got Super Mario 64 on a portable, but it is a heavily compromised version of Mario 64, and some of the additions just make the game worse. So I struggle with this because it is quantity forsaking quality.
Yeah.
You would think Mario 64 would be the standouts here as it was on the N64, but no, I mean, you translate it to something like a handheld and you only have the eight directions, which kind of goes against the core ideals that the game was born upon, moving
they wanted
freely
you to
in
play
3D.
with the touchscreen.
And then they also had the little thumb pad, which you only use for like a Bowser fight, because you would spin it around on your thumb and you want to spin Bowser, and that was like the only reason you ever had to use that.
Well, you could control your characters with the touchscreen too. It sucked, but you could.
It's cool that you had multiple characters to play as. You could play as Yoshi in a 3D Mario game, which is kind of crazy to think about, and Mario as well, which you don't really do ever in today's day and age. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I remember about this is touchscreen related, like the mini games. So I don't know. The list itself is just it's just a lower quality overall than what we've seen previously. I would probably put it at like a 6 or so for DS.
Yeah, it's weird. They kind of like repeated what they did with Mario on the Game Boy Advance, where they just gave you kind of like an enhanced port. This one's more border remake, but
yeah, it's crazy how soon we got a remake from Mario 64 when you think about it.
Yeah, this was what, 2004, and 64 came out in 96.
Yeah.
So 8 years later, I feel old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this lineup is particularly inspiring. I would not have rushed out to get a Nintendo DS with this lineup. If I weren't like the crazy Nintendo super fan that spends his money on everything because he has no self-control. But yeah, I don't think there's enough here. this might be a 5. I was considering a 4.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm about as well. I mean, I did go out and spend my money. So this came at an interesting time in my life where I had quit that retail job that I mentioned earlier. And because of the nature of retail, I had never taken a vacation day. So suddenly they gave me a bunch of money because they paid out all my vacation. So I bought a DS and like every game. And I remember going home because I had like a weird 1 week period where I was not working at the retail job and was waiting to start the next job. And I was like, I'm just going to enjoy my time and play my DS. And then I felt very deflated when I got home with my DS. And I was like, most of these games are not fun. So I'm going to stick with a 5 too. I think that a 4 would be a bit too harsh. I think a 5 is all right because it is still, at the end of the day, I have Mario 64 on a portable, and at least one of these games I really loved. So I'd say a 5 is fair.
Man, Japan launched with WarioWare Touch, and if that was in the list, that would elevate it for me because that's an amazing DS game.
I love WarioWare Touch. Yeah, I imported that one from Japan. I still have my copy of WarioWare Touched with like the pink cover, or no, it was yellow, and it's like he's pulling his mustache with the stylus.
Yeah,
we did better than Europe though. They got a game called Robots, which I guess is what the movie
and Sprung.
I'm guessing so.
Yeah. Did we all say 5? Or
I said 6.
6, okay.
That's a
you
5.3 then, I think. Because you both said 5.
Yeah. 5.3. Now, this is interesting because this just clashes with what my memory is. But that can't be right. Did the 3DS launch before the Wii?
No.
Okay,
the Wii came out in 06.
This thing is out of order. Hold on. Either that or I skipped something. No, I did not skip. It just lists the 3DS before the Wii. That's not fair or nice. All right. So the next piece of hardware that Nintendo launched is the Wii. Correction, Fandom Wiki. But in North America, we got a crazy amount of games. So according to the wiki, this is what the Wii launched with back in 2007. We had Avatar: The Last Airbender, Barnyard, Call of Duty 3, Cars, Excite Truck, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, GT Pro Series, Happy Feet, Madden NFL 07, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Monster 4x4 World Circuit, Need for Speed Carbon, Open Season, Rampage Total Destruction, Rayman Raving Rabbids, Red Steel, SpongeBob SquarePants, Creature from the Krusty Krab, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, The Ant Bully, Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, Twilight Princess, Trauma Center Second Opinion, and Wii Sports. Holy crap.
Wow.
Back in Wii Sports, baby.
Wii Sports is a pack-in too. Yeah, and Wii Sports is probably it's either that or Astro's Playroom for like the best pack-in of all time, in my opinion. Well, Super Mario World. Super Mario World is.
It's a tight race.
Like back then, I can't think of a single like pack-in game for Nintendo that didn't just become iconic for the series. Like Reggie was right when they pushed for having this be released with the Wii because, man, it got so many people into this console.
When I got my Wii, the only game I had was Wii Sports. Like, I didn't need anything else. I had Twilight Princess on GameCube, the better version of that game. I didn't really need any of the rest of this stuff.
So this is an interesting list for me because I definitely picked up my Wii with Twilight Princess. That was like the game. I also got Excite Truck just because I had seen it and I was like, this looks rad. I really want to play this. Super Monkey Ball, Banana Blitz, Red Steel. I think that was my personal set of, and Trauma Center because I had played Trauma Center on the DS. Definitely wanted to play it on the Wii. And all of those games kicked ass. Like I loved all of them. This for me is an incredible lineup. Like I remember because I had just come off the DS. I had bought every game. There was no way in hell I could do that with the Wii. There's so many. But every single game that I picked was a game that I still love today. Like Twilight Princess, I still love that game. Trauma Center, I think that game's amazing. I mean, nobody can argue with Wii Sports. We all got it regardless. And I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, oh, Wii Sports is overrated. The only game that I kind of have softened on over time is Red Steel. I was like, yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
I would say Marvel Ultimate Alliance is worth mentioning as well, because, you know, that ended up spawning its own series of games.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got that third one on Switch, you know, back in like 2019. Yeah, this is just a good lineup. There's a nice spread. There's a lot of shovelware here, though. Like,
there is.
I don't think it
Yeah.
necessarily detracts, because it doesn't delete the good games that are here. There's just some bad ones too. You know, I don't think. What was that?
The Excite Truck on here as well. I don't know how many people jumped on Excite Truck, but that was a lot of fun to play
I
with
adore
friends and
Excite
whatnot.
Truck. It's such a good game. That's the thing. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this for me is a 10, because I can't think of a single person that there isn't a game for.
Right.
Like, I can't think of a type of player that there isn't something for. You got you want to buy a Wii for a little kid, get them freaking Happy Feet, you know. You got your ball and gun gamer, Call of Duty's on here.
Look, 10-year-old Brandon loved Rampage Total Destruction on GameCube, and they just put it on Wii with more stuff. So, like,
Yeah.
cool.
It is a really difficult lineup for me to find a hole in. I'm going to go with a 10. Wii Sports is an amazing game. It came with a full-fledged Zelda. The first console in Nintendo history to launch with a mainline Zelda.
Yeah, like Mario's not here at all in any way.
Yeah.
It didn't
And-
need Mario at this point with this lineup.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is an easy 10. I look at
Wow.
Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, and I'm like, yeah, it sure did go downhill from here.
Yeah, that doesn't mean every game on here is fantastic, but I think there's a great coverage of genres, a huge quantity of games, and there's a decent amount of games that are of extremely high quality.
Is Red Steel the one where when you're playing multiplayer, it calls your Wii remote and you answer it and the speaker tells you who your target is? Was that Red
gosh,
Steel?
I don't know.
What
I don't
game
think
was that?
Red Steel, I remember being as a single player game.
Oh,
That was
okay. There was-
Ubisoft, and you had like a gun and a katana. That was the whole.
Huh.
Is it Red Steel 2?
Was that Red Steel 2? I
think
remember
you
that
might be
was
thinking of two.
okay. So maybe that wasn't the launch lineup. Okay, I remember that from something very
Oh, no,
specifically.
that one's also single player.
What the heck game am I thinking of?
I don't know. The only game I can think of where you got called and told about someone you're going to kill is No More Heroes, but obviously not multiplayer.
There's that, and then like WarioWare, where one of the games you have to answer the phone.
No, I remember there's something like I don't know. Maybe it's
Comments,
Whatever
tell
game
us
you're
what game
thinking
Daniel's
of sounds
thinking
sick, though, because that's cool.
I swear,
Yeah.
you calls your Wii remote, you answer it, and the speaker it says who your target is, and then someone next to you can easily hear it. It wasn't very well thought out, but it was funny because of that.
All right, if you're listening or watching this episode, please let us know, because I really want to know what this is.
Yeah, I
All
want to know what
right.
game that is.
Well, anyways, like this still the launch lineup at all in total would probably still be a 10 for me. So I think it's our perfect 10.
Wow, our first perfect 10.
Good job, Nintendo Wii.
It's got
I'll always
everything
fight for you.
It's the 10 out of 10 list, and it's got Barnyard.
Oh God, what Barnyard
Hooray.
killed me. That's some
All right,
That's some GBG extended lore.
Oh
Coming
man.
off of our first perfect 10, we have Nintendo launched the 3DS, which I have a feeling probably won't be a perfect 10, but it's got a sizable lineup, more than
does.
I remember it having. So North America did pretty well with the 3DS. We got Asphalt 3D, Bust a Move Universe, Combat of Giants, Dinosaurs 3D, Lego Star Wars 3, Madden Football, Nintendogs plus Cats with, its 3 versions, Pilot Wings Resort, Pro Evo Soccer 2011, Rayman 3D, Ridge Racer 3D, Samurai Warriors Chronicles, Steel Diver, Super Monkey Ball 3D, Super Street Fighter 4 3D, The Sims 3, and Ghost Recon Shadow Wars. This is an interesting lineup because I feel like so I did something absolutely crazy, and I bought both a Japanese and an American 3DS at launch, because I think the Japanese one came out quite a bit before the American version did, and I just desperately had to see like a glasses free 3D console, and so I bought that in like Super Street Fighter 4 and I think like a Gundam game that had come out in Japan.
Some quick Brandon lore for you. This was the first video game console I ever got on launch day, because I had my own money and I bought it myself.
It's such a good feeling, like that time when you buy your first console.
It was a surprisingly like big moment for me. I can still remember unboxing it in my like living room and playing with it for the first time. I don't remember that for most of the other consoles, but I do for this one because I bought it.
It adds weight. It adds weight to that memory, knowing that you worked and saved for something that you really love. I remember the ones I bought way more than the ones my parents got me, even though it was incredibly kind of my parents to do that. And I think you appreciate that more once you start buying them yourself.
Would you also include Face Raiders and AR games?
Yeah, they were there.
Okay.
They were there at launch. I would include those. They were technically pack-ins.
Yeah.
Street Pass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. See, I did not buy a whole lot. I bought the console and I bought Super Street Fighter 4 3D. Amazing version of that game, by the way. It still kind of blows my mind that Street Fighter 4 was on 3DS. And that's how I played it. I didn't have any other version of that game. But there's basically nothing else here that even I remotely wanted.
Yeah, there's no like, this is like the first time there's no like main first party Nintendo face for any kind of title here for launch.
That's true. It's a very interesting lineup of games. So you have, you have a lot of games. There's good genre coverage, but there really isn't like a marquee title to the launch lineup. For me, it was also Super Street Fighter 4. I loved playing that there. I had played it on other things, but having a little portable version was really neat.
It was also
a lot of these
like
games I played, and they
Super
just didn't
Street
feel
Fighter
good.
4 didn't feel especially pared down to me. Like the graphics gap between the platforms, the portable to the home consoles, was shrinking. And that had a lot of power for me. I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe I'm playing a game that looks this good on my dinky little 3DS.
Yeah.
When you would hit like an ultra combo on someone, they called them ultra or super, whatever. I don't remember what they called them in 4 anymore, but when you would hit those, they were kind of cinematic in a way that they weren't in previous games. And then but it didn't really, because it was shrunk down to such a small resolution. It didn't look substantially worse than it did on PlayStation or whatever. It was a really cool thing to see, but also didn't really use 3D very well. You had the 3D mode that was like separate where you were over the shoulder, and that was okay. But by and large, it was just a 2D game, which was a very interesting showcase for the system. Like, it could do good graphics if the 3D's off. And I thought that was really interesting. Ridge Racer 3D was one I was really excited for, but it just made my eyes hurt. Like it really upset my eyes to look at that game.
I had a similar reaction to Pilot Wings. I didn't get Pilot Wings, but a friend had it, so I tried it. And that was the first time I'd ever felt queasy playing a video game. I don't know if I'd feel that way now, but back then it was a lot for my little eyes.
Yeah, 3DS isn't something that I got into until like that price drop, when the very quick price drop that they had and I got the 3DS like the day before that drop actually happened, but it was still being sold for the discounted price. So I got the ambassador program and bought a cheaper 3DS, which was really funny. with those
Oh, that made me so salty when that happened.
with the GBA games and then the NES games.
I saw all the people who paid like $100 less than me getting all the same stuff. I was like, how dare you?
Oops. But no, otherwise, looking at the rest of the launch lineup, it's nothing that really stands out to me as like defining for the console, like some of the other launch lineup titles we've had.
Yeah, I think there's a good quantity here. I struggle with the quality, like games. Like I think this is an interesting one because I don't look at any of these games and think, wow, these are bad. I think they're unremarkable. Like they're cool and they're all fun, but none of them to me are like, oh, I would rush out and buy the console to play this.
These are the games that need to launch alongside like a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Like if there's a Super Mario 64 kind of thing in here, then this launch lineup looks a lot better than it is.
Yeah, it's really interesting how much a marquee title impacts a launch lineup, because that's really what I'm seeing here is like a great launch lineup that misses that one marquee title. It misses the system seller. And I would say because of that, because I think if you had like a Smash or a Mario 64 or an Ocarina of Time type of game, this would be a 9 or a 10. So I think I'm going to give it a 7 because otherwise you've got great genre coverage and you've got decent quality. You just don't have that one standout.
A lot of us were waiting for Ocarina of Time 3D, which probably should have been included, but it came out like a few months later from launch. So it didn't get to be a part of this lineup. So yeah, I don't know. The list itself, it's for a launch lineup, it feels like a 6 to me. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think I'll be slightly more generous with a 7, but not that much. I feel like Nintendo itself didn't really show up here. Even Pilot Wings wasn't developed by Nintendo. It was developed by Monster Games.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we've got 2 6s and a 7.
That puts us at a 6.3.
6.3. All right. So moving on, our next piece of hardware, Nintendo's biggest blunder in recent memory, though the amount of launch titles is actually at odds with my memory. Like it's surprising. This is the Wii U. And at launch, it had the following in North America, and it's a massive list. Assassin's Creed 3, Batman Arkham City Armored Edition, Ben 10 Omniverse, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Darksiders 2, ESPN Sports Connection, Epic Mickey 2, FIFA 13, Funky Barn, Game Party Champions, Just Dance 4, Madden NFL 13, Mass Effect 3, NBA 2K13, New Super Mario Bros. U, Ninja Gaiden 3, Razor's Edge, Nintendo Land, which was a pack-in if you got the deluxe, Rabbids Land, Scribblenauts Unlimited, Sing Party, Skylanders, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, Tank, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Transformers Prime, Warriors Orochi 3 Hyper, Wipeout 3, Your Shape Fitness Evolved 2013, and Zombie U. Holy nuts, that's a lot of games.
Am I the only one that thinks this lineup's kind of kick ass?
No, it is. And that's the crazy bit. Like, again, and this is kind of crazy, I think we're missing that big marquee game, though. Like, Nintendo Land was cool. Certainly good as a pack-in if you got the deluxe edition. But New Super Mario Bros. U just felt kind of samey even at that point. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I really felt anything particularly cool about New Super Mario Bros. U, but then I remember waiting to play Assassin's Creed 3 on the Wii U because I knew it was coming. I picked up Call of Duty Black Ops 2 because it was freaking Call of Duty in HD on Nintendo. I picked up Tekken. I picked up Tank.
Man, I forgot Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform was a launch title. That's still like one of the best kart racers even to this day.
Yeah, that's a crazy good launch game.
Yeah.
It's this launch lineup also says to me, hey, we saw what happened with third party the last couple generations. We're going to try and turn that around. And at launch, it kind of felt like that. Batman Arkham City Armored. That's how I played Arkham City. So I associate that with the Wii U. Same with Assassin's Creed 3. I played 3 and 4 on Wii U.
Yeah.
This is a really strong launch lineup. Zombie U, I love that game.
Yeah, Zombie U was rad.
Yeah.
But
I played much of Nintendo Land with friends back in the day because
I was in college on campus when Nintendo Land was out. We had a big media room. We went in there, like 30 dudes all playing Nintendo Land. It was the best. Like, that's probably the best launch experience I've ever had. It helps that Nintendo Land's really good. But like if you're looking for like that big first party single player game, that there's nothing here.
Yeah. And I think that's the only real drawback I have here. I remember getting my Wii U and all things aside, like I spent, I think, half a day updating the damn thing. Like it took forever to download the day one update for the console. But once I sat down and actually played it, I remember being completely enamored with it. I was like, this is an amazing console. Like it's a little slow. It's a little clunky in terms of the OS, but the games are really good. I had a lot of fun with Zombie U. I played obsessively on the Wii U when it came out. It certainly didn't maintain this momentum, but you know, the launch day, there was a lot of great options to play. It's missing that one big thing, but again, there's loads of genre coverage here. There's lots of different experiences, and the Nintendo first party games are actually decent. Like none of them are like standout titles, but they're good enough in my opinion. I would say I'd give this, I'm going to say an 8.5. I don't think it rises to a 9, but I think it's pretty close.
Yeah, I'm feeling a solid 8 here myself.
Yeah. I'm thinking if this had like Nintendo Land as a pack-in, which it still feels like, I still feel like it was, but it wasn't. It should have been. That would have been even more. I would have validated it even more. People would have thought probably higher of it because they didn't have to buy Nintendo Land in that case. I probably would put it at an 8 as well. It's a good launch. It's a very solid launch lineup for a console that just unfortunately didn't continue to keep that kind of quality as time went on.
That puts us at a big old 8.2.
8.2. That's better than I expected.
If there was one big first party game there, that would have been easy 10.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was awfully close. So 8.2. All right, now we're near the end here. We're into the modern era. So let's talk about the console that arguably is the reason this channel exists, the Nintendo Switch. So this was interesting because there were worldwide titles, and then there were Japan only titles, and then there were eShop titles, which are all separated out here. And I think that you have to put these together to get a pretty good view of everything. So North America basically got the worldwide titles and the eShop titles. So we had 1-2 Switch, Just Dance 2017, Skylanders Imaginators, Super Bomberman R, Breath of the Wild. We had Arcade Archives, Metal Slug 3, Shock Troopers, King of Fighters 98, Waku Waku 7, World Heroes Perfect, Blastmaster Zero, Fast RMX, New Frontier Days, Founding Pioneers, Othello, Shovel Knight, both Spectre of Torment and just overall Treasure Trove came out on launch day, Snipper Clips, Soldam Drop, Connect Erase, Voez, V-O-E-Z, and Vroom in the Night Sky, which I feel sorry for that one. But this is, it's a pretty solid lineup size-wise. Genre representation-wise, I don't know that it's as diverse as other ones we've seen.
This is a kind of difficult one for me to evaluate because I feel like it has the opposite problem of the Wii U, where the Wii U has a bunch of great third-party games and some decent first-party stuff, where the Switch has like arguably one of the best first-party launches of all time. in Breath of the Wild, and then a bunch of third-party games that I don't care about, and then some. There's a lot of like smaller kind of indie style games available on the eShop, which I think are better, but some of them don't carry like kind of that prestige outside of like Shovel Knight.
Yeah, I remember I covered the Switch. Like this was the first console that I got early, and I got to actually like participate in launch coverage for. And I felt so bad because the developers of Othello sent me a code, and I was like, my brother in Christ, I am quite literally working on Breath of the Wild right now. Your game is doomed.
Please play Othello.
Yeah, I'll give it to him. It was cool that they put it out there. It was like a cool touch screen demo, essentially, but I was like, it's Othello. Like we have huge games. Like I would never launch that. It is tough for me because obviously Breath of the Wild has enough meat on its bones that it is a perfect console launch game. We had Super Bomberman R, which was okay. 1-2 Switch, which was again just okay. If you're buying a Switch for a little kid at launch, you have Skylanders. My girls were young enough that they actually really liked Skylanders when it came out. It's hard to believe.
I would throw that to Just Dance as well. Having that at launch is probably a pretty important call.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But then once you get past those, like you said, if you're not a Zelda fan, Shovel Knight had already been out for a while. If you liked that, you probably played it on something else. If Shovel Knight had been brand new, that would be a different story.
I mean, Spectre of Torment was.
Yeah, it was Spectre of Torment.
Yeah, that campaign was a new one.
But I mean,
because Trader Trove is like the package together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like a racing with Fast RMX, which is an excellent title. You've got. I appreciate what Snipper Clips did. It was creatively as far as a new kind of game that I'd never seen before or seen since. It has some variety in it. I want to tell everyone that Room in the Night Sky is such a poorly rated, one of the most poorly rated games ever that it doesn't even have a link to get more information from it because they rather just forget it exists.
I have that game.
I forgot about this game.
It's an interesting game. I'll give it that.
I not to discount Fast RMX, but it technically is an enhanced port of Fast Racing Neo.
It is. I think that's.
Well. I did buy it launch day though. Like it didn't stop me.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting. I think that what we have here is like a launch lineup that is. It's hard to separate. It in a weird way, it parallels the N64 in that you have this one game that's just mind-blowingly excellent in the launch lineup, and I think that colors the launch in a favorable light. But then when you look outside of that one game, like if you, for whatever reason, were like Breath of the Wild, not for me. And to be fair, there are people who played it and just did not click with Breath of the Wild. Then there's kind of a lack of selection here for you. Like I wouldn't know that if you didn't want Breath of the Wild, would it have been worth it to pick up a Switch on day one? I think you could make an argument that it probably was worth waiting if Zelda didn't interest you.
Yeah, I remember being at GameStop, picking up my console, and my wife had also picked up her console, but she didn't pick up any games. Not physically anyway. And I remember the store clerk was like, "Did you get Zelda?" And she was like, "Nope." And then his response was, "So why are you here?"
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you look at the launch lineup, it's just nothing on the Switch outside of Breath of the Wild. Which, to be fair, you could play Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, but it's kind of the reverse of Twilight Princess. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
What was there to really play? What was there to pick up outside of that? Because you could have played all of these arcade archives in different places. Blaster Master Zero was available on other platforms. Fast RMX, cool as it is, I don't know that people were going to go buy a console to play it. I'm sure some people did, but I think they were a very small minority.
I mean, it was worth noting that if you did buy a Switch, Fast RMX was only like $15.
Yeah, it was very cheap.
Like, yeah.
I personally love this launch lineup. I think that there's a lot of games I personally really enjoyed. Blaster Master Zero I had fun with. I played Shovel Knight Treasure Trove in its entirety on Switch just because, well, I reviewed it for one, and two, I just really love Shovel Knight. I'll take any opportunity to play it again. Snipper Clips I thought was a lot of fun. But when I look at this, if I try to separate my emotions from it, I think that I'm looking at like an 8. I think that Breath of the Wild is such an excellent game that it could elevate any launch lineup up a few points. But like, I don't have a sports game here. I don't have a more traditional racing game here. I don't have an RPG. I don't have a real, I think there's a lot of genres that don't have representation in the launch lineup. And I think it's in large part because they turned out in huge numbers for the Wii U and got burned and then sat back for this one.
Yeah, the third parties just were not showing up. It just not in the way that they did for Wii U, and I think that hurts this lineup a lot. Breath of the Wild does so much heavy lifting. I think that's the only reason it gets to an 8.
Yeah, I agree. I think without Breath of the Wild, you're looking at like a 5. So
yeah.
Yeah, for me it's like an 8.5 for me, because I did play a lot of these other ones that released as well, but that's just my own personal preference for games that I played at launch.
Were you an 8, Steve? Or
I was an 8.
Okay, that puts us at an 8.2.
8.2, matching the Wii U.
That's so interesting. So what was the score? Remind me, for the N64.
The N64 was a 5.7.
That's so interesting to me, because you look at this lineup, and if it's like you have the one very defining game in Super Mario 64, which like blew our minds as far as like what is possible in the game, and then Breath of the Wild, which also like blew our minds in a different way, in which like how expansive one game could be. But then does the mass of quality, the quantity of other games available there, does that make that much of a difference as far as scoring goes? And I guess it must, because
I think
like
the options is nice. And also it is worth noting that while there is kind of a dearth of options at the Switch launch, they are all of decent quality. Like, I don't think anyone's, aside from Vroom in the Night Sky, I don't think anyone's like, man, these games are bad. It's just that they don't have good genre coverage.
Yeah, I think on launch day, I got Breath of the Wild, Super Bomberman R, Treasure Trove, Fast RMX, and my wife got Snipper Clips. And there's not a bad game in that bunch.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's an interesting take, but we are on our way to our final, the console we're all playing now. And this is an interesting one because we're just under a year on from launch.
I was here for this launch. Yeah, actually,
we were covering this launch with bated
I was very sleepy after going to GameStop.
I was very tired and stressed trying to cover it as I came back from the Nintendo World Store, and everybody was like, "What are you covering?" And I was just kind of like, "Oh God, I am the one that had the GameCube controller first because I got it physically, so I had to cover everything I could for that."
It was very much a hair on fire moment for everyone. It was fun though. Like, I love covering console launches, but we definitely all had like lots to do that day. I remember not really playing my console for a few days after it came out because we were all trying to like do various things, cover different aspects of it. I was reviewing the actual hardware, and so it was it was a fun experience, but like, it would have been nice if we didn't have to do it like all in one day. But let's talk about the games that came out. Now that we've had time to sit with the console and play these games, I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. So unlike most other console launches, there weren't really like too many regional exclusives. So we mostly got the same stuff everywhere. So for the Switch 2, we had Cyberpunk 2077, Mario Kart World, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, the Switch 2 editions of both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. We got Bravely Default, Hitman World of Assassination, Hogwarts Legacy, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, which was a US exclusive at launch. Sonic X Shadow Generations, Street Fighter 6, Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Civ 7, Split Fiction, Arcade Archives Ridge Racer, Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4. This doesn't seem right. They list Fantasy Life I, the girl. Oh, no, it was true. Sorry.
I just got the Switch 2
Yep,
update,
Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time, Fast Fusion, Fortnite, Switch 2 edition, Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. We got the NSO GameCube app. We got Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Nobunaga's Ambition, Awakening Complete Edition, and then we had Survival Kids. They listed Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S twice, so I had to skip it, but that's because we got a physical quote-unquote release game key card in the US, which was the US exclusive. So, I mean, this is it didn't seem like it because we all kind of split up into covering different things. So my launch experience was covering the handful of games that I was responsible for, and I know we all had different games we were covering. But that's a massive lineup. And obviously you kind of see this trend of like Nintendo has a popular console, third parties really show up for the next one. They have an unpopular console, third parties kind of abandon them for the next one. The only time that was different was when they had the SNES, which was wildly popular, and then nobody showed up for the N64.
Yeah.
But I think that was down to their media choice. But anyway, so I mean, this is an interesting one because I would make a similar argument to my previous consoles in that there isn't really a first party marquee game on this list. Like Mario Kart World, I think was exciting. I expected to like it a lot more than I did. I don't think it's a bad game for the record at all. I think that it is a wonderful game where the skill bar is too high for me. Like I'm not a good Mario Kart player. And so for me, I just felt like with the introduction of like all the tricks and stuff, it just, the skill floor rose above my skill level. And so I was just like, oh, I'm very bad at this. And so I just don't play it very much.
I kind of have the opposite experience with Mario Kart World, where the skill floor raising and by and large the skill ceiling along with it made it more exciting for me. Because I'm not quite on the level of some of the people I see online, mostly because I'm not practicing and trying to do it. But when I do pull off some of those super shortcuts I see online, it does feel good. But I do recognize that's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah, I rated the game fairly highly for our review. It kind of slowly kind of diminishing as time goes on because there's not really much else to it. But at the time when we were all playing it at launch, we had a lot of fun just exploring a new Mario Kart after playing Mario Kart 8 for over a decade. But yeah, this also includes Breath of the Wild again and Tears of the Kingdom, but it's the Switch 2 editions, which was really cool to see those in 60 FPS and enhanced visuals.
Those games were my responsibility. And I started playing Breath of the Wild and ogling the game. And then after I finished my video work that I had to do for those two games, I kind of accidentally replayed the whole thing. I was just having a good time. I think this is one of Nintendo's smartest launch lineups in history.
I agree with that. I remember, Brandon, you and I, we had the opportunity to go to New York and see the Switch 2 at its reveal. And we saw Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom running in 60 FPS in handheld mode. And we both just audibly lost our minds, like on camera. We were like, oh my God. Like we were just recording it for our own sake, audio not meant to be used, but both of us couldn't hold in just basically scream crying at the sight of these games running so smoothly. And that felt like a really great way to communicate the enhanced power of the Switch 2. Like it was really smart for them to take games that, at launch did not run super great. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are two of my favorite games, but there's no denying that on the original hardware, they didn't run super well. Not bad enough to be unplayable, but definitely bad enough where even someone without a keen eye was like, oh, it's slowing down, you know? And so I think that it was really cool to see these games basically locked at 60 FPS. Of course, Tears of the Kingdom, you know, has moments where it drops down to 30 and then snaps back, thanks to double buffer VSync. But it's just really impressive. Like, I thought initially when I just read about it, I was like, you know, they're re-releasing these games. I don't know. But after I played them, I was like, oh yeah, okay. This is the best way to play them, and I really appreciate that they're out there now like this.
And they were free upgrades for expansion pack owners as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they probably converted some people too with GameCube also coming out.
GameCube was another big thing. I think Daniel, you probably.
GameCube, I mean, I bought the controller before most people could ever even touch it. The GameCube fact, we had Soul Calibur 2, Wind Waker, and F-Zero GX, which is the one that had me most excited. Because, that was it was so nice to actually be confirmed that we're getting these classics now, and we're still getting them very slowly, but we're still getting them. At launch, those are like 3 really iconic titles. Well, for me, for the GameCube, I think F-Zero GX stands as like the not as iconic one for some people, but I was more than overjoyed to have that on there. There's such a wide range of genres on this launch. We've got like racing games, action adventure, multiple RPGs, puzzle games, fighting, stealth, platforming. There's just a wide breadth of genres that they covered with this in particular. I also reviewed Deltarune chapters 3 and 4, which it came out on Switch 1 and 2 at the same time, but it was technically a launch game for Switch 2 as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we got big things like Sonic X Shadow Generations, Street Fighter 6,
which is an incredible port. Like, I still play that every day. It's Street Fighter 6 I'm still playing every day.
You could say the same with Yakuza 0, Cyberpunk 2077. These are like really tentpole third-party releases. Hitman, we got an HD remaster of Bravely Default. Fortnite having a Switch 2 edition on day one. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, which by the way was our best performing video of anything that we did for the Switch 2. So many people wanted to see how Fortnite ran on Switch 2. Your comparison, I think, did a crazy number of views, like 700,000, some stupid number. like that video positively exploded. And so, I mean, it outstripped the rest of our Switch 2 launch coverage by an absurd amount. It was that comparison you did that was side by side where it showed like the Switch 1 version and your model couldn't even load. And then,
it didn't load.
And then on Switch 2, you just, it looked like, and now Fortnite's gotten even better, but either way, we're talking about the launch lineup. I'm actually, and this is nuts, and maybe it's a bit of recency bias. I don't know, but I'm looking at this launch lineup and I'm looking at all of these games and I'm like, I think I might have another 10 on my hands, despite the fact that there isn't for me like a really big marquee game. Because the thing is, for me, I've got the best versions of 2 of my favorite games in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, so much better that it's actually worth replaying them. Portable Cyberpunk, which I loved Cyberpunk even on PS4. Played through it on PS5 and PC. Going to Switch 2 and being able to bring my save over from those other platforms made Cyberpunk actually viable as a portable option for me. Street Fighter 6 is, again, it's a game that I literally put a match or 2 in every single night since I got it. I played through Yakuza 0. I played through, I haven't played through, but I've played quite a bit of Hitman World of Assassination, which only got better with updates over time. I have an actual portable playable version of Fortnite now that now also includes Save the World. Fantasy Life I is one of my favorite games in recent memory, and I've got a portable version of that, which again lets me take my save from PlayStation and move it over. There was so much here that I really enjoy. And I think it's one of these weird cases where despite there not being like a really big tentpole game for me, there are so many of high quality that I have and have more than enough to play on my Switch 2 since launch. And the launch lineup was absolutely packed to where I couldn't find time to play all of them.
We're also like leaving out a very important thing that happened. A vast array of first-party Nintendo games got free upgrades.
Yeah, that's true. That was another video that did insanely well. John put together all the free upgrades, and that went nuts as well.
They may not have been new games, but like on other platforms, a lot of those upgrades you would have paid for.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. So many Switch 1 games kind of got stealth upgrades that Nintendo didn't charge for. And those also made those games, playable in a new way or at a higher quality. It fixed a lot of issues with a lot of games that ran suboptimally on Switch 1. So yeah, it's just hard for me to look at this and think that I would want more from this lineup. Like when I look at the Switch 2 lineup, I'm like, I got two great versions of Switch 1 games. I've got one of the biggest RPGs of in recent memory in Cyberpunk. I got a HD remaster of a long lost DS game. Like there's a lot of stuff here. And again, I think my bar is any type of gamer I know, there's a game for them on this one. You like shooty bangs, you've got Fortnite on here, you've an actual competent version of it. You like puzzle games, you've got Puyo Puyo Tetris. You like more narrative focused games, you could play Yakuza 0. Fighting games, you've got Street Fighter. There's just something for everyone in here.
I think sports games are really the only like missing element here.
That's a good point. There is not a sports game in here. I think for me personally, though, I'm still going to have to go with a 10 because for me, in terms of my taste, this is a launch lineup that just speaks straight to me. Like this is, I'm not a sports game player. I covered Madden for us, and it was very far outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I guess that's worth noting. A lot of this lineup speaks to me personally. What do you think, Daniel?
This launch lineup came with Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, so it gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Like now I know how the rumble in the Joy-Con 2 works. Do you know how it works, Brandon? Because that game can teach you.
I played that whole game, and you know what? I had a really good time.
I will say, as somebody who's Welcome Tour gets a lot of deserved flack. It definitely should have been a pack-in. It's insane that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I will say it has a lot of cool information that Nintendo traditionally does not share. It felt like playing in Iwata Asks.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool.
You're going through a museum. It's just portrayed as one, and it tells you all this cool little facts and details, and it gives you fun little games to kind of test out things like the mouse mode, which I really like.
Those games are actually pretty novel and fun too, and I don't think a lot of people really draw attention to that.
I will say though, it's charging for that's wild. But
at least it was only $10.
Please give us $10 more on top of your $500 special edition with the Mario Kart included.
Don't remind me of $80 Mario Kart. I think if Bonanza had been here day one, I'd give it a 10.
Ooh.
I'm going to give it a 9.5.
9.5. All right. I'm sticking with my 10 just because it's got games that I'm still playing now.
Daniel, did you give a score?
I said it has Welcome Tour, so what's a 10, Brandon?
Oh, I didn't know that was serious. Okay.
Yeah, the launch lineup is a 10.
9.8 for Switch 2.
All right, so our winner with the only unanimous perfect 10 was the Wii. Coming in second was the Switch 2 with a 9.8, very respectable. Third place was the GameCube with a 9.3. So That's I did not expect that going.
Yeah,
in.
that's true.
I did not expect us to rate.
I
those
didn't
high.
either.
Switch 2 did also release with GameCube, so that makes sense. It is right above the actual GameCube itself.
Wait, hang on. I need to correct myself. Switch 2 gets a 10. I'm
Oh
sorry.
wow! What changed your mind?
I just the breadth of things available here is so wide and so high quality. Not giving it a 10 is criminal.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Now the question is, which one is better? I guess we have a tie. The Wii and the Switch 2 are the greatest.
See, the audience, once I brought up the fact that GameCube was there, then Brandon
That was the
remembered.
thing. He said GameCube, and I'm almost like, oh yeah, duh. But it doesn't have Melee. It happened again.
No Melee.
It would be even funnier
No
if it
Smash
launched
at
a
all.
week
No,
later.
Smash 64. Oh
Um,
man.
Switch 2 also has the benefit of the entire Switch 1 library, and a lot of that got elevated by Switch 2 just inherently.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that doesn't happen from like GameCube to Wii or Wii to Wii U. So yeah, it's a 10. Bonanza was only a month later. I can't be that upset about it.
Yeah, this is interesting. So we've been going for a record 2 hours now talking about our favorite launch lineup. So I'm going to close this episode out by asking you the hardest question I've asked you this episode. I'm going to start with you, Daniel.
Uh-oh.
We've got 2 perfect 10s, the Wii and Switch 2. Which one takes it?
This is really hard because I could play GameCube games on both of them. I'm gonna say Switch 2 though.
All right. Well, what makes Switch 2 a cut above for you?
I think there's just a more well-rounded set of games in genres for that. I mean, Wii has a bit of that shovelware going into it, but when I look at the amount of games we have on Switch 2, a lot of them are very high quality games all around for me.
Fair enough. I can respect that. How about you, Brandon? Wii or Switch 2?
I don't really think it's a contest. I think Switch 2 just takes it. It's just that wide breadth of options. Everything, just about everything here is a banger. The only game I'm looking at and I turn my head at is Survival Kids.
I bought that. I bought that and I regretted it immediately. Yeah.
But like a lot of like legendary series are here, like Street Fighter and Sonic and Hitman and Yakuza, Deltarune,
Yeah.
Nobunaga's Ambition. There's a lot here. There's both incredible volume and incredible quality in equal measure.
I could not have said it better myself. I agree with both of you on all counts. Switch 2 defeats the Wii's launch lineup for me. So while I think both are perfect 10 launch lineups, I think they're fantastic. I think the Switch 2 just has a more games that I personally vibe with. But that's going to do it for us. This has been your mega episode of the Week in Nintendo. We will be back next week where we'll discuss a topic we'll figure out by that point. And then the following week, we'll have the 1-year anniversary episode of the Switch 2 where we'll just break down everything. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm just going to break down.
I might too at this rate. But if you guys want to support us, you can head over to patreon.com/gvgaming to find out how to get each and every episode of the Week in Nintendo a little bit early. Thank you all for watching. I hope you're happy, safe, and healthy wherever you are. And we'll see you all next time. Until then, bye.
See ya.
We meet again.